Hey, what's going on people? It's SGZ here from the SpartanGameZone, and in this video I'll be covering the most game-breaking skill in Borderlands 3. Each character has one skill that absolutely dominates over the rest, none more so than Zane and Eraser. He can use it to completely erase health bars, dropping meaty bosses instantly, and doing that with weapons that never could otherwise. I'll be letting you know what it does, how you can take advantage of it, and why it's one of the most game-breaking skills in the entire game, but broken in a good way. If you enjoyed the video, I'd appreciate it if you could drop a like. Feel free to subscribe if you haven't already, or even follow me on Twitter. Feel free to let me know in the comments of any other game-breaking items or skills and why they're so overpowered. I'm interested to hear what you guys think, and let's crack into it. So Eraser is a tier 20 passive skill found in Zane's professional skill tree, which is unlocked as part of the Arms Race DLC in Season Pass 2. It grants you and your clone the ability for all critical hits to pass through enemies, dealing 40% extra damage per enemy pierced. With 3 possible points you can cap it at 120%, which is nice, but Eraser is much more than a skill that transforms all your weapons into powerful railguns on critical hits. It's similar to Zero's Boar in Borderlands 2, but much more powerful, and we'll be going over how and why today. Eraser doesn't increase the damage of your projectile on critical hits, it actually spawns an entirely new one, which is 120% more powerful than the original. Applies all of the V1 and V2 damage calculation again, and double dips in splash damage and splash damage radius. It's pretty much 2.2 times all splash damage from annoyance, artifacts and class mods, which results in some serious damage, allowing you to one-shot bosses with weapons that would only tickle them otherwise. Using something like the saw bar without Eraser, one-shot does what you expect, but add Eraser into the exact same setup and you'll deal phenomenal damage. The key to pulling off shots like this is the unique effect of the weapon and its ability to deal splash damage. One unique effect that works great with Eraser is the Freemans. It turns out the laser guided rockets from the Freeman can be controlled after impact, allowing you to circle it back in for some ultimate damage. However, you'll notice that the rocket simply travels straight through them the second time round. That's because the Eraser projectile cannot hit the same target it was spawned from directly, but will transfer its monster damage whenever that projectile explodes, as long as they're in range of its explosion. There's a number of weapons in the game that tick those two boxes, allowing you to use ordinary weapons to do extraordinary things. Sometimes it's like taking a knife to the gunfight, but that knife shoots guns which shoot knives. There's no class mod that boosts the damage from Eraser, but Zane doesn't need any help. However, there is one class mod that synergizes extremely well with it and serves as part 2 of this game-breaking skill. That's the Hustler, obtained from Locomumbius in Sapphire's Run as part of the Psycho Krieg DLC. The Hustler grants a 5% chance for non-crits to count as crits and boosts their damage by 25% per stack, with a max cap of 5. It pretty much lets you hit crits anywhere on the body and makes them more powerful. It doesn't just make it easier to proc Eraser, but grants the ability for your splash damage to deal crits, which gets crazy really fast. Using weapons similar to the Yellow Cake, you can deal some crazy damage over some insanely wide areas, flattening entire fields of mobs and bosses too. It gets especially good thanks to it double dipping in all your splash damage and splash radius bonuses, which is something you'll want on your Hustler if you want to have it peaking. The Hustler and Eraser combination is practically Zero's Boar mixed with Krieg's Bloodsplosion. Eraser projectiles triggered can trigger another, which can in turn trigger another, and so on and so forth. With the Hustler equipped, you'll often see projectiles flying around which you didn't even fire, upscaling the collateral damage. Although the chain projectiles should deal exponentially more damage based on the last one according to the skill's description, they don't, and that's lucky because that would be even more broken. It really is insane what Eraser allows you to do. There's no one skill that will transform a build more than this one. Speccing into it will allow you to do the unbelievable with the mundane, transforming seemingly normal weapons into absolute units. True carnage is achieved by combining splash damage weapons with the hustler, which I'm no doctor, but I'd suggest avoid doing if you're epileptic. In that combination, your explosions will trigger explosions, filling the screen with deadly lights and sounds. Zane's abuse of this skill fits two sides of the scale, weapons with a high splash damage radius and those without but still deal splash damage or have an effect that suits. Non-splash radius weapons like the recursion can be used safely while dealing heavy damage, but others like the yellow cake or devil's foursome will blanket the area in explosives, dealing fantastic damage but over much wider areas. Depending on what side your weapon's on determines how you should prepare yourself, with the latter requiring some protective gear. If the explosive show is too boom-tastic, you'll need to pick one element to deal damage in across your build and protect yourself from it. So radiation and a red suit, or shock and the transformer, or you can even go cryo and whatever as long as you're specced into duct tape mod. I found radiation only with a red suit and an elemental projector artifact provided great damage while being immune from the forces you summon. But there are multiple ways you can set yourself up to abuse this deadly combination. Either way you look at it, Eraser is an incredibly powerful skill that gets monumentally more outrageous when combined with the Hustler class mod and suitable splash damage weapons. It's easily one of the most destructive skills in the game that's broken in a good way, and I highly recommend you give it a go and see which weapons you can find that fall into its sweet spot. So that's all for this video. I hope you enjoyed it and learned about Eraser, how it works and how you can abuse it to deal some incredible damage. If you did, consider dropping a like or subscribing, and I'll catch you in the next one.